has motivated me for the better part of my life. In fact, I have spent the last 15 years getting a couple of degrees in economics, working in the financial services sector, and in this episode, we are going to discuss the 7 habits that make you poor. The first habit is not putting your money to work. Currently, the inflation numbers in the UK are over 7%. The same story is going on for most of the West. However, research shows that over 70% of the people don't feel confident when investing their money, and therefore they don't invest. But here's the truth. If you don't invest your money and just keep it safe in a savings account, with any amount of inflation, you are basically losing money. Think about it. The same chocolate that used to cost you 50p now costs probably £2. That is inflation in action. Even if you have found that the price of the chocolate hasn't gone up, the quantity has definitely reduced. So if you think about it, the amount of chocolate you get per pound has decreased, and that is inflation. And if you don't invest your money and put your money to work, make it grow, your money is effectively shrinking. And this is the number one wealth killer that most people don't even realize is happening. The second habit is not focusing on earning more. In fact, many people I know actually get really comfortable in their jobs after 4 to 5 years. They stop asking for raises, they stop asking for promotions, and therefore they get really complacent and lack the courage to go out in the market and get their worth tested. And let's be honest, when your salary is not keeping up with inflation, and I'm not only talking about consumer prices, you also have lifestyle inflation. After a certain number of years, you invariably end up incurring some lifestyle inflation, whether that be hiring help or getting a takeaway. And I don't want to tell you to limit lifestyle inflation. What I want to tell you is get a higher paying job in proportion to your lifestyle inflation. And if you're not doing that, you are doing yourself a disservice, because if you're not earning more through getting a new job, getting a raise, getting a promotion, or starting a side business, you are probably making the pie smaller for yourself as inflation, both real-time inflation and also your lifestyle inflation, goes up through the years. In fact, if you have been around me, you would know that earning more is a core part of my philosophy. And if you are someone who feels stuck at their job, or if you have been looking for a job for some time, or you are not getting the money that you deserve in your current job, I'm hosting a free workshop on the 1st of September. I'll go over the 3 massive mistakes that candidates are making in this job market and how you can avoid that. And I will also be spilling my secrets on 3 specific hacks that I use with my students to help them land dream jobs with crazy amounts of raises. If you want to join, I'll link it up in the notes below. I hope to see you inside. The next one is obsessively focusing on yourself. And this sounds so counterintuitive, because it is. Every time we want to improve our monetary situation, generally speaking, people think about, how do I improve my monetary situation, without asking the real big question about, what can I do to improve the lives of others around me? And this is quite a key unlock. No money is ever made without exchanging value. Unless you get obsessed about the question, what am I best placed in society to do, and where can I add the most value, you very likely are going to get into that egotistical bubble of me, how do I make more money? Of course, the question about money and value is quite a complicated one, but if I was to keep it to simplistic economics, if you follow the demand, you are very likely going to get well compensated in an area where there's a high demand and low supply. The next habit is not negotiating. All of us intuitively know that the first job offer that's generally given out to you is not the best offer. In fact, 73% of the employers actually are ready to negotiate with you. However, survey shows that only about 45% of the candidates actually come and negotiate on the first offer. And when you consider the gender differences, 61% of the men are willing to negotiate compared to 41% of the women. Negotiation is critical if you want to keep up with inflation, with lifestyle inflation, and frankly, cost of living, and you want to earn more. You want a better lifestyle. So learning how to negotiate and really having confidence in your own self-worth, your own value is absolutely a critical habit. Negotiation in my books is a habit. You don't just do it at your job search. You don't just do it when you have a new client. You practice that skill every single day. Negotiation is a skill, and you really want to approach it from a place of abundance where you're not trying to exploitatively get more from the other person. You are trying to create this win-win situation where you have something that they want and they have something that you want, and if the two of you came together, both of you would be better off and therefore creating more value in the world, and therefore you have the right to ask for more money. Of course, a lot of this also boils down to communication. Again, something that I cover within my courses and programs, but if you want a taster, do come and join the 3 Job Hacks workshop, link in the show notes. The next habit that I find so many people get into is focusing on certifications and fancy degrees that actually don't lead you to the job. Certifications are great. You know, I'm all about educating yourself, but there's something to be said about educating yourself with the right things, which are in alignment with your goals. If you just keep on getting certificate after certificate, yes, it's good for the ego, but it's not necessarily going to get you a higher salary. And especially the technical people I know, and I am guilty of this as well. I used to be the person who used to think that I need to learn this new language, this new software, this new thing. But actually, what really brings value to business is business skills. When you have a certain amount of technical skills and mix it up with business skills, and you communicate that out to your seniors, your bosses, your customers, your market, you suddenly unlock something that is so much more powerful than your technical skills. So technical skills, don't get me wrong, are important, but focusing too much on your technical skills without really understanding business will not get you very far. In fact, that is where I see a lot of techies stay stuck, just because they don't want to make an effort to understand business and understand what their hiring manager or their customers need. The next habit, and I think most of us fall prey to this, is staying stuck in our comfort zone. Don't get me wrong, the comfort zone is great because we have already mastered being in the comfort zone. We have the right amount of skill and challenge, but only for a certain time do we get into this situation where we have flow. And when we have the sufficient amount of skills and challenges at that equilibrium point, we are in that state of flow. However, beyond that, after that time has passed, your skills have improved. If you are in that comfort zone without trying to get a new challenge, without trying to sharpen up your skills, why should the market pay you more money? And if you are stuck in your comfort zone, chances are that that's reflecting in your bank account. Actually bringing in skills together that typically have not been brought together before makes that skill so much more valuable to the market. Interesting ideas within your zone of comfort. These ideas are typically found outside your comfort zone because not many people have experimented with these areas, and these areas are therefore not in the comfort zones of many people. And when you go and focus your energies there, either you are going to learn a lesson that will be worth the money, or you will make tons of money. If you are someone who feels like you are stuck in your comfort zone, I highly encourage you to step out and take that leap of faith and experiment with something new. The next habit that keeps you poor is your mindset around money, whether that be demonizing money or giving too much power away to money. In fact, many people I know have grown up being preconditioned to hate money. Money is the root of all evils. More money, more problems, right? And there are this other set of people who consider money to have power over everything else. If I have more money, I can do whatever I want. And there's no end to that, how much more is enough. But here's the truth. If you believe that rich people are bad, even if you finally get your hands on a lot of money in moral and ethical ways, that belief in itself will make you get rid of that money. Because think about it, you have this belief that rich people are bad and you have a lot of money, so you are rich. Your mind can't really connect the two, make sense of the two, so you have to live in this cognitive dissonance. So you either start thinking of yourself as a bad person, or you actually start demonizing money and pushing it away. So if you have to be at peace, one of the two have to go. Either the belief that rich people are bad or the money. Now, obviously, logically speaking, lose that belief. However, actually, when we dive deep into psychology, we find that people find ways of self-sabotaging themselves into actually pushing the money away than the belief away. Because pushing the money away that's external to them is much easier than actually changing a belief that is so deeply rooted into you through your childhood. On the flip side, if you are giving away too much of your power to money, you are almost in this non-stop chase of I need more money, I need more money. Yeah, sure, you will probably end up getting more money, but that's not really the point. More money does not equal more wealth. In fact, I would say that there's a sufficient amount of money that you need, but after a point, wealth is no longer about the money. Wealth is really about the peace and the happiness. It's the internal state of having that money and what that money has made possible for you. Of course, a certain amount of money is absolutely necessary to make you happy and at peace. I haven't seen many hungry and happy people. You first need to take care of your immediate needs, food, shelter, and then we can start talking about peace and happiness and building true wealth. And in fact, one of the best ways of building wealth, in my opinion, is to get a higher paying job. And if you are someone who's stuck in a toxic job, or you have been trying to find a job for the longest time, come join the free workshop that I'm hosting on the 1st of September. I'll leave a link down below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It motivates me so much to keep creating these videos. And if you enjoyed this video, you might like something like this or this that I'll leave here. And I'll see you the next time. Bye.